Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're looking at a story of, well, just incredible contrasts. Right now, we're living through this period of stark climate extremes, witnessing some really profound ecological damage. But at the exact same time, we are undergoing a massive structural global shift to counter it. We're talking about a clean energy boom and a revolution in green finance that is fundamentally rewriting the global economy.
Okay, let's dive into this. It's so easy to look at the headlines and feel like the planet is just caught in this irreversible downward spiral, right? But the dual reality of our current world is that intense, record-breaking ecological stress is happening simultaneously with unprecedented green progress. So, are we losing the fight, or is the tide turning? To answer that, we've got to look directly at the data. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Oceans at boiling point. 2. Heat's toll on food. 3. The clean energy boom. 4. Green finance moves south. And 5. Indigenous youth leading change. Section 1. Oceans at boiling point. Record temperatures and marine impacts. So the crucial point is, to truly understand the solutions required, we first have to look at our planet's current baseline. Driven by the fundamental science of the greenhouse effect, where trapped atmospheric gases continually bake the planet, our oceans are absorbing the absolute brunt of this heat. Back in August 2026, the daily global average sea surface temperature for the extrapolar oceans hit a staggering 21.104 degrees Celsius. According to Copernicus, this broke the previous record set just a couple of years prior. It's a crystal clear signal of an ocean under immense stress from decades of warming, mixed with phenomena like El Niño. And, this unprecedented warming isn't just a number on a chart, it is completely upending ecosystems. We are seeing mass mortality events of habitat-forming corals and sponges. Over in Europe, food webs are shifting so drastically that dolphins are actually feeding on jellyfish because their usual prey is just disappearing. On top of that, this warming heightens human health risks, like waterborne vibriosis, and it supercharges the atmosphere with moisture, leading to intense, extreme regional rainfall. Basically, what happens in the ocean directly impacts our daily reality on land. Section 2. Heat's toll on food. Global systems under stress. The cascading effects of all this marine and atmospheric warming are placing our global food systems under some truly extraordinary stress. A joint report by the FAO and WMO highlights a very specific vulnerability threshold. When temperatures cross 30 degrees Celsius, our most vital global food supplies are actively suppressed. For every single degree of warming above 30 degrees, maize yields decline by 7.5%, soybeans drop by 6.8%, and wheat by 6%. This heat is quite literally baking away the global harvest. And we're seeing the economic shockwaves of this in real time. In India, retail sugar prices jumped nearly 30% in just 1 month. Why? Well, crop disease, waterlogging from excess rainfall, and extreme heat severely impacted sugarcane production. The Reserve Bank of India has actually warned that these overlapping, repeated climate shocks are making food inflation much more persistent. So it's not just a farming issue anymore. It's a harsh macroeconomic reality. But the toll isn't just on the crops, is it? It's on the people. An IED study focused on informal workers in Bangladesh reveals some staggering losses. Outdoor workers there are losing an average of 23.7 workdays a year to extreme heat, compared to 13.5 for indoor workers. And on a national scale, this lost labor creates a massive $4.1 billion annual blow to the nation's GDP. Now, what's really interesting here is how this illustrates the severe human cost at the micro level. In India, extreme heat cost agricultural workers an average of 54 full working days of lost labor in 2024 alone. Manual laborers are bearing the absolute physical and economic brunt of this crisis, often without any access to social protections or even basic workplace heat thresholds. Section 3. The clean energy boom, a macroeconomic pivot. Now, against this heavy backdrop of undeniable crisis, a structural, macroeconomic shift has quietly taken over the global stage. Thanks to an explosive boom in solar and wind power, renewable sources surpassed 40% of the world's electricity generation for the first time since the 1940s. The energy mix of the entire planet is fundamentally transforming right before our eyes. And here is exactly why this transition is unstoppable.
91% of new renewable energy projects are now cheaper than their fossil fuel alternatives. I mean, that is a total watershed moment for financial markets. In 2024 alone, renewables avoided $467 billion in fossil fuel costs. So this transition is no longer just about doing what's environmentally sound, it is definitively the most economically optimal choice.
Alongside this huge economic shift, we're seeing a profound legal shift, too. In a landmark advisory opinion, the UN's International Court of Justice concluded that countries violating their legal climate obligations could be held legally accountable and even obliged to pay reparations for emissions. It's a massive decision that really opens the door to a whole new era of global accountability. Section 4. Green finance moves south. Shifting global leadership.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because the traditional centers of global economic power aren't the only ones driving this change. The Global South is rapidly taking the reins of climate finance and policy. When we compare global trajectories impartially, a fascinating picture emerges. While Western nations like the US and the EU have recently seen rollbacks of climate regulatory initiatives, China has expanded clean energy to over 10% of its economy, and its CO2 emissions have actually been flat or falling for 18 months. Meanwhile, Indonesia's central bank has adopted a very clear green mandate, actively transforming its financial institutions to lead the country's green transition. However, despite this incredible momentum in the Global South, severe systemic hurdles still remain. A major one is the cost of financing. To put it into perspective, the capital cost for renewable projects is around 3.8% in Europe, but it spikes to 12% in Africa due to perceived investment risks. This makes green transition financing excessively expensive, exactly where it needs to be scaled up the fastest. But Africa is definitely not waiting around. As Dr. Sidi Ould Top powerfully stated, this is Africa's time. We're seeing a massive surge in green finance on the continent, including a $15.5 billion pledge from Europe. Even more ambitious is Mission 300. This is a massive $90 billion investment initiative aiming to connect 300 million Africans to electricity by 2030. And African leaders are making it incredibly clear that they are setting the terms. At the Addis Ababa summit, they established firm rules, like demanding grant financing instead of debt, total fossil fuel exclusion, and public community ownership. They are no longer negotiating survival, you guys. They are actively designing the world's next climate economy on their own terms.
Section 5. Indigenous Youth Leading Change, Guardians of the Future.
So if the Global South is reshaping the financial geography of climate change, the younger, deeply connected generations are mobilizing to become the architects of our long-term survival. On the International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples in August 2026, the Global Indigenous Youth Summit on Climate Change took place. The focus was powerfully centered on Indigenous guardians, land, rights, and knowledge for climate justice. These young leaders aren't just participating in the conversation, they're organizing to lead it. And this brilliantly illustrates their immense scale and coordination. This summit was an unprecedented, continuous 24-hour global event. Literally circling the Earth across 3 8-hour time zones, it connected youth from 136 nations, representing nearly 290 languages. It is a true global partnership of Indigenous youth leveraging their traditional knowledge to tackle planetary-scale challenges.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question for our immediate future. We've seen the undeniable factual reality of our boiling oceans and the severe stress on our global food systems. But we've also seen a booming, unstoppable clean energy economy, the rise of the Global South, and the powerful mobilization of Indigenous youth. The pieces for our 22nd century survival are firmly on the board. So the question now is, can the acceleration of these incredible structural solutions outpace the warming of our planet? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today. Keep learning and keep asking the big questions.